Hello students, in this video I explain and exemplify the use of these units of analysis in this course. As I've mentioned, that your 1,000 word comparisons and your 500 word responses to other comparisons need to be based on units of analysis, and this will force us to synthesize and evaluate the readings. So I'm going to take you through a number of these units of analysis so you can see what I mean by them and how we're going to use them in this course. And because we need to do this immediately, I will exemplify this use in the 3 readings that are due the first week of class. And this is the 4C's statement on English language learner writers, Berlin's introduction to his book of Rhetoric and Reality in the Writing Classroom, and Severino's discussion of how you respond to international students writing or English language learner writings. And she has 3 approaches to responding to them. So these units of analysis are based on most of them are based on classic rhetorical theories of rhetoric and writing. And you are to select for your comparison the unit of analysis that is most important or most illustrative of the readings in terms perhaps of their strengths and weaknesses. But if we will go to the 3 readings for today, we will, starting with Berlin. Berlin explains really clearly how the purpose for writing in the 3 different paradigms of composition and rhetoric are different. The current traditional has a specific purpose for writing. The romantic subjective has a specific purpose as to why you write and the outcomes for writing. And the transactional has another kind of purpose for writing. So all 3 of these composition theories, according to Berlin, have specific purposes. All 3 as well envision a specific reader-writer relation or specific audience. And because all 3 envision a specific audience, all 3 paradigms, as Berlin lays them out, value different kinds of information. They value the organization, the kind of organization, the textual organization that works, and the kind of style. So prios is a really important prompt, and prios again is an acronym for purpose, reader, organization, and style. But if we now, can we map on the 4C statement on writing, on L2 writing, and Severino's discussion of the politics of writing onto purpose? Surely we can, because one of the approach, Severino argues that the approach you take to responding to writing gives writing its purpose specifically for what happens to the students. If students are forced, or if you respond to students in a separatist stance, and this means that you do not want your L2 writing students to take on or to assimilate the voice of American rhetoric, but allow that student to write in his or her home culture, you're taking that stance, but that gives the writing a specific purpose. If you're taking a similarist stance, that gives it another purpose. So for this assignment, you could compare, of course, Severino's approach to purpose to Berlin's approach. And then if we look at the 4C statement, it doesn't say as much about purpose. It brings up other issues. And so you could talk about other issues such as issue number 8, and that's L1 culture and language transfer and relations. This unit assesses the influence of the L1 culture and language on the EL writing context. And you can see how this is related to purpose, but the 4C statement specifically says that students bring their traditions with them. and that instructors need to understand these traditions and be able to work with these traditions. So the 4C statement specifically reinforces this theory that the first language and first culture will influence how students write in their second language, in this case, or third language, in this case, English, and that has issues of ideology. So you could explore those issues of ideology using Berlin or using Severino as you explain this unit or these two units of analysis across all three readings. Now, as you explain the units of analysis, the 1 to 3 units of analysis across all of the readings for the week, this gives you the power to evaluate, the robustness of the theory. And this won't make sense till we start getting into other readings, but we could, for example, really pair Severino and Berlin and explain which one is best at explaining ideology for the composition theory in and of itself, or for the effects of the ideology on students and how the students relate to that, and how well do those two readings back up or change the way we look at the 4C's discussion or statement on L2 writing. So your goal in these 1,000 word responses is not to summarize the articles, assume that the other students have read the articles. Your goal is to compare and analyze these articles, and in this case, these 3 articles, on 1 to 3 of these units of analysis. Now, there are 15 units of analysis, and Prios is 5 in and of itself, so there's basically 19. There's a lot of bleeding over in this. For example, L1 culture and language transfer does relate to purpose, but it also, number 12 is ideology and ethnocentrism, or 13 is global emic and etic, and 14 and 15 are human functionings and social justice. So there's a lot of bleeding over, or there's, we're trying to get at phenomena that's hard to capture, so we use an array of analysis to flesh out the real strengths and weaknesses of these approaches. And you'll see in the readings that for the first week, I intentionally had a specific L1 reading in Berlin, because I want you to transition from L1 to L2 or ELL, and this is how we're going to work through the whole semester. What would L1 say here, or what have we learned about L1, and how does this work in L2? So your 1,000-word responses do not summarize, but they compare point by point the articles, and usually we have 5 or 6 articles or chapters per day. They compare those points on these specific units of analysis, and in a separate video I'm going to go through as many units of analysis in one video. It might take me 2, but the goal is to give you a real powerfully critical eye, not just to tear down, but to explain how these articles flesh out into assumptions about writing and how writing should be taught. Please let me know if you have any questions about the 1,000-word responses. It's going to take some practice doing this. It's going to take some practice getting to know these 15 units of analysis. Now, these 1,000-word responses are due, except for the first week, Wednesday at midnight of each week. That will allow all of the students then to reply to the 1,000-word responses using 2 500-word responses. So each week students write one 1,000-word comparison, and then they are required to write 2 500-word responses to another student's comparisons or another student's responses. And this way I'm forcing, and I think it's going to be natural, interactions between what students are saying about the articles, how they're evaluating them, and then they'll get feedback on their evaluations of the article. And this is our main learning tool, where we have an array of articles, we analyze them the articles using specific lenses, and then from those specific lenses we can tell the robustness of the theories. And you'll see that some of the theories become so extreme, and this is what Severino's talking about. If we take an isolationist approach, it's kind of an extreme approach, or if we take a separatist approach, it's an extreme approach. And by extreme, it means we lose some of the robustness of writing in terms of its pedagogy, writing in terms of its empowerment, what it does for people, and writing in terms of its efficaciousness or effectiveness for the students themselves. All right, well, this will take some practice. I hope you enjoy this approach. Thank you.